I wanted to welcome everyone to this panel. We're going to be talking a lot about branding, marketing, and PR. My name is Sarah Crosby, and I'm part of CJ's content team. And we're doing a lot of fun things on the content side of the business. So if you guys have questions about content, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the content team. But we're not going to be talking about content today. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about branding, marketing, and PR. And this is so closely tied to affiliate. Being on CJ's content team, we work with both advertisers and publishers so closely, and we're really all marketers in this channel. And people that do really well in affiliate have great marketing plans in place. So it really ties back. If you want to grow your affiliate program, start to think more like a marketer and try new things to grow your business and increase your audience. So I'm so excited to be up here on stage with some fantastic panelists that have some really great stories to tell from their companies. So I think it's going to provide you guys some tips and tricks that you can take back and implement. All right, previous to my life at CJ in affiliate marketing, I worked at LIONSGATE Films as director of online marketing for probably about 7-8 years. And it was one of those dream jobs. It was pretty cool. Like, I am a huge nerd about marketing, branding, and PR. I'm actually one of those geeks that likes to watch TV commercials. I also love to see how companies handle disasters. So I'm closely watching USC and Volkswagen right now to see how do they get out of that mess. But at LIONSGATE, it was awesome. Like, we actually, every movie we released, if you think about it, a movie is a brand new product. Like, you guys don't know anything about this movie whatsoever. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to ask you guys some questions based on the experience I had at LIONSGATE marketing a movie. And it really was, like, we had start to finish. You have a couple of months to take this product no one's ever heard of and get people to spend money, go to a theater, convince them that it's good, and a lot of times it wasn't, and buy a ticket. So I learned some really great lessons, and the thing I want you guys to know about LIONSGATE, they're scrappy. We had no budgets whatsoever, so I don't want you to be fearful that you need $1 million and able to market your company. And I know these guys here have done some really cool things that didn't cost a ton of money. So we're going to provide accessible tips, not spending a ton of money to market yourselves. But when you do spend that money, how do you spend it wisely? So these are some of the films I had the pleasure of working on, and we kind of wanted to celebrate, since Halloween's a few weeks away, have a fun kind of Halloween theme. I'm also going to ask you guys some questions too, so hopefully no one falls asleep after lunch. All right, but I would like to take now the time to introduce the panelists, or have you guys introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your companies.
Sure. Hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm actually one of the co-founders for Diomon.com and Fashionmon.com, and then currently I'm the CMO, and we have a team here. Hi, team. Yeah, that's a short story.
Okay.
Do you want us to talk about?
Yeah,
okay.
You go for it.
So my name's Nancy Lee. I'm the president of myregistry.com. For those of you who haven't gotten married or had a baby recently, maybe you don't know us, but if you have gotten married or had a baby recently, most likely you do know us. We're a universal gift registry system. We kind of give the bride and the expectant family the opportunity to do absolutely anything on their gift registry, from aggregating store registries, adding individual items, registering for cash, and so on and so forth. And we'll get into a little bit more about how we got our brand out later.
Awesome. And then Josh?
I'm Josh Myers. I'm the CEO of Slick Deals. Slick Deals has been around actually since 1999, and we reach about 9 to 10 million monthly unique users. We've been making a big push into mobile with our mobile apps as well. But what makes Slick Deals really unique is that we're all powered by social. So we're basically all of the deals, 95% of the deals on the site are found by our community of users, and they're voted up to produce sort of the cream of the crop at the top that's getting the most thumbs. And we proudly have had the dislike buttons far before Facebook. So.
Yeah, and I did want you guys to know, yes, we all have publishers up on the stage. We did try to get some advertisers, but it was fairly ironic that we had some people almost ready to go, but they could not get approval from their marketing and PR department to participate. So, but these guys are doing such exciting things, and it's just having everyone think publishers are marketers too. We're all in the same business, and we all want to grow our businesses. So I'm just thrilled that you guys are up here, and like I said, they've got some great stories to tell. So, all right, first question. I actually have a question for you guys. I will give somebody $10 if they can name who this person is. Anybody? All right, I'm keeping this $10. And I knew no one would know who that was because that is Captain Spaulding. And he is the main character in a movie called House of a Thousand Corpses. This was Rob Zombie's directorial debut. And this movie is not for my mother or grandmother. We knew this movie, I mean, it is the most gruesome. I could barely get through the screening, and try to tell Rob Zombie something positive about this film that you could barely get through was really trying. But it was tough. But we knew this movie appealed to a very specific core demographic, probably targeting males between the ages of 16 and 24. So I think that is the first tip when you start a business or you're thinking about branding or trying to put some money in the channel is really know and understand your audience. So the first question I have is actually going to Jennifer because you actually founded Deal Moon based on a specific audience. So can you kind of talk about how important that was?
Yes, so our main audience is Chinese American, and now we have expanded also to the China market. So we have about 13 million unique visits per month for the peak months of November. And that's about, and we have done like some surveys, it's about almost half of the Chinese American who know about our site and use our site for shopping advices. So especially among younger people, especially people who just came to the country, they use our site for shopping advisories.
And what I thought was so interesting talking to you before the panel is, like, you guys saw a hole in the marketplace. Like, to me, all great marketing and products and businesses solve basic problems. And you really saw, there was no sites geared to this target audience.
Yeah, so I would say we were kind of lucky, but it's really because our founders are Chinese Americans, so we know what they need and we know what products they want. So the core is about finding the right product to the right people. So because we are Chinese American, it's easier for us to understand what are the right products. And that's actually the most difficult part for a lot of merchants who work with us is because they think our users will like something, but not being Chinese American, there are a lot of cultural differences. It's not about the language, but it's about what advertising you have been exposed in China. So, for example, Coach has a totally different branding in China. Like they are actually next to the LV stores. So their brand is much more high up than they're here. So that's why people come here to buy a lot of Coach and then bring back.
That's interesting.
So it's because you never think about what a word means to you. Like it was so interesting. Like Deal Moon, like when we picked the name Deal Moon, it was for a site for ladies because moon is actually feminine for Chinese. But I just realized from a lot of other people, moon actually is more male part for like general Americans. So I was so shocked. So this is like the culture difference because moon was seeing a lot of fairy tales for Chinese associated with ladies. So, like each word even have different meanings for different cultures. So there are a lot of, like when you do marketing, the most important thing is what do the audience think about this instead of what you think about it. So that's the part that a lot of people miss.
That's great. And Nancy and Josh, do you guys have any, I know you've got some things to contribute.
What was the question again?
Like, your audience, like I know you guys, and sometimes if you have a very specific audience, I know it can be almost challenging. Like you guys had some really dedicated fans of Slick Deals.
Yeah, so our core customer is tends to be male. We're so kind of on the flip side of Deal Moon, we're actually probably 70% male, 18 to 45. We see that a number of our customers discovered us when they were in college or maybe outfitting a dorm room or a first apartment or different things like that. We tend to be more tech savvy, and it's certainly a value-minded consumer who actually gets a thrill of the deal. That's willing to do a little extra work, but is excited to have to be winning. And we see a lot of our customers talking about things that they still own that are still in the shrink wrap, right? Because they bought 3 Harmony universal remote controls because they were such a good deal, and they have only opened and used one of them, but the other ones are there if they need them. So, and there's also some interesting and surprising products that men buy, which I think are sort of counterintuitive. So we'll have tablets or computers or flat screen TVs or smartwatches or smartphones, but we'll also have 180 rolls of toilet paper for $10.
They like buy like Tide, right? Or Clorox. Like I was like, what?
Or jugs of 200-ounce jugs of Tide at Target for $12 and things like that. And you would think, oh, okay, these are women buying for the household, and it's the guy saying, yeah, guess what? I just ordered us 300 rolls of toilet paper, and she's like, great, thanks, we're gonna put that. So, but yeah, it's pretty funny. But they're super passionate. I mean, 80% of our visits come from people who visit every day, and we have engagement on our apps that's social engagement. Like, for instance, Facebook releases a metric called DAUs over MAUs, so kind of the percentage of your monthly active users that you see every day. And our number is 40%, and Facebook's is 60%. So it's that level of engagement that I think most e-commerce players are challenged to even get anyone to download their app at all, much less visit it every day, and we're seeing 40% of our users use it every day. So it really becomes part of their daily routine, and they're very passionate about it.
That's great. And how do you guys stay in touch with your audience? So it sounds like you can think they're doing one thing, but they evolve over time. I don't know, Nancy, if you want to take that one.
Yeah, I think, for us, we also found a hole in the marketplace. So there was a way, there was no way until we came along for people to be able to basically aggregate everything together. So our life cycle is a little bit different than theirs because our customer is very event specific. So they come to us for a short period of time. We see them all the time, every day, because they're setting up their registry, they're checking to see if somebody bought something, they have a lot of things to do. But then once their child is born or their wedding is over, then comes the challenge of how to continue to engage these people. So we've been, pretty fortunate because once people get kind of hooked on this universal registry concept, they end up staying with us. So even though their registries will go dormant for a period of time, we'll see, 4 months down the road, oh, it's Christmas. And they re-engage with us and they turn their formerly wedding registry now into a Christmas wish list. So I think the key of trying to constantly re-engage your customer is to constantly be useful for them. Like I can see how you're useful for them, and we've found ways to continue to be useful for our customer even after that wedding is over or that first baby is born. Because now it's like, well, why don't you use it for your baby's first birthday, or your birthday, or your holiday wish list? And there's constantly reasons why people are receiving gifts. So they may as well receive what they want and create some kind of wish list or gift list that are going to make it easy for people to know what they want.
Yeah.
So we kind of fall in between them.
Do you guys use social, like, to communicate with them and to get feedback back? Like, I know with Slick Deals in the forums, are you guys constantly looking at that to get information?
Yeah, I mean, we have near 200,000 followers on Twitter and similar kind of like audience on Facebook. And I think that's really probably the most hard, with 10 million or so users of our site, it's sort of a subset of folks, I think, that want to follow us and engage with us, but it might also be the first touch for certain folks as well. And then, we do certain things to encourage sharing of the deals and whatnot. But I think one of the things we're thinking about, too, is how do you unlock some of the virality that... let's say like a Snapchat or a WhatsApp or any kind of we're really a utility and we are social, but it works pretty well without your friends. You can use it without your friends, whereas Snapchat or something like that you can't really use without your friends. So I think there are some ways maybe for us to kind of even move more down that social spectrum and engage the social networks even more.
Perfect. All right, you guys ready for question 2? So movie marketing tip number 2. When we first saw this movie at LIONSGATE, it was a great horror film. Like, I couldn't sleep that night. We knew we had something special on our hands, but there was actually no stars in there. It was extremely low budget. It was made by 2 guys, young guys from Australia, like on a shoestring. They did get Danny Glover. I don't know how they did that, but he was in that movie, that first movie. But we knew we had something good, and so we had to create a really strong brand foundation to get people excited about this movie, and we knew word of mouth would hopefully carry it through. So on the online side, we actually created a really great online website. But in any movie we released, we started with the key art. The movie poster is actually the brand guide, if you will, to everything else, every other marketing component when you make and produce a movie. So we started with that key art, which you see there with the hand. And then we built upon that with this scary website that we produced, actually won a Clio Award. And it was a really creepy experience site. So it was a lot of fun. But this is kind of what you can kind of play off. I know these images are totally gross. But this is like, now there's like Saw 8, I think. And you can see they went international, but they took that same look and feel and built upon that. And I think that's, if you're thinking about a brand for the long term, that's something that's super important. So I'd like to ask you guys how important branding and establishing a good foundation for your company was or is.
It is extremely important. So Diomon has been around for 6 years. So now I estimate to be 50% of users are referred by friends.
Okay.
So when they come, actually to add to the social network question earlier, Diomon is huge on Weibo. If you haven't heard of Weibo, it's kind of like Chinese version of Twitter. Have everyone heard of Weibo before?
Okay.
Okay, so there's still half of people who haven't heard of it. So it is like actually the enhanced version of Twitter, I would say, but it's in Chinese. So it has a lot of pictures.
Cool.
Kind of like mix of Instagram and Twitter, I would say. So we started our Weibo actually many years ago, and we acquired a lot of users, which are students who just came to the country, because we were sharing a lot of useful information, not just for shopping, but also for like, for example, like introduction of Halloween to you, like, because they have never experienced Halloween before, and introduction of Black Friday, right? So at one point, we were so big on Weibo, people know us by the Weibo, not the website. So
that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have. So, so over the years, gradually those people, eventually they will shop on our site, which is Diomon, right? So, and then the brand Diomon, and in Chinese, they actually know us more by the Chinese name, and we become also in different other social network. And when they see the name, they know it's us, and they know it's trust. They have trust in us because over the 6 years, we have recommended the best products to them, and only the selection of best sites. We have very, very strict selection on the sites that we recommend. So that brand, it is why like we can actually sell luxury products to our users. We can sell, so among all the deal sites, I would say like we're the Neiman Marcus of deal sites, because they have that trust in us. Like if you see a deal site without knowing its history, like you're not going to buy the $1,000 handbags from a deal site.
But you took like what you do on the site travels to what you do on social.
Because they trust us. Yep. So even if we're introducing a new site to them, they would trust us because if they directly go to that small site, they wouldn't buy anything. But if it's reintroduced by us, especially through like social network, we are like more like a friend to them. We tell them this is a trusted site because I have told you another 1,000 site before which never failed.
Yeah. That's great.
So we don't have a large social presence. And I don't want people out there, publishers especially, who don't, to think, oh my God, I got to build my social presence because that's going to change my life. It's not. And depending on what kind of business you have, and for us, the social really isn't as important because we're talking to so many different audiences and we want to be able to tailor our message. So social only becomes important for us, for our customers to be able to use it as a vehicle to be able to publicize their own gift registries. So people who are having a baby often tweet out their registry, or if they're getting married, they'll post their gift registry on their Facebook page so people know to purchase gifts for them. But the fun thing about registry is that although it's not viral like a social network, it's viral in another way because every one of my customers has to advertise and they have to market their own gift registry in order for people to be able to come and purchase things off of them. So it's really important to give good marketing tools to my own customers so that they're able to market their registry for them. So in the end, I'm really a platform, And I think that there's probably other publishers out here who are also platforms that give the tools to their customers, and then their customers are able to market it for them. So in that way, we go viral, and a lot of our new customers on a daily basis are people who once purchased off a friend's registry. So they were going to a wedding, they went on a My Registry account to buy something off a wedding gift, and they saw that there was all these different things from all these different stores, and they said, wow, this is cool, I want to be able to register for a kayak too when I get married. And then 6 months later, they're getting married, and they're like, yeah, you know, I saw this registry before, and they had all these different things, and I could, you know, we can put his and her iPads on our wedding registry. So our customers are really one of our best, you know, marketing vehicles, and giving them the tools to really do anything. Like I hate to say no to customers. Yeah. You know, people write into us and they tell us, well, it would be really great if your system could do X, whatever it is. So we always try to sit down and figure out, well, is this an isolated incident, or is this something that really all of our customers would like? Yeah. And if it's something that all of our customers like, our marketing awareness really comes through giving them as many tools and vehicles to be flexible as possible. And that's really, you know, where we focus our brand energy on.
And I know, Josh, you guys have like created some good tools and same sort of philosophy that you've.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's interesting about Slick Deals brand is I think our users feel like they own it, and we definitely hear from them when we change it or when we do anything. We get sort of, you know, big pushback sometimes, and we have to really spend a lot of time in our own forum, you know, defending ourselves about changes that we're making, and ultimately then that makes it sort of a collaborative process with them. But I mean, the brand has been built since, I mean, this company started as a blog, really, with the founder, Mr. Slick Deals, you know, kind of posting the best deals that he was finding. And then when he opened it up and let other people post deals as well, was how it became social, and they started collaborating with him. But I mean, a few other kind of interesting data points about our brand. I mean, one is, if you type into a Google search box, it's either SL or SLI, it autofills Slick Deals. So that kind of gives you a sense for how much direct brand traffic we're driving. You know, and Google, of course, bases that on the most commonly typed things into the search box. So that sort of tells you how much people are pulling for our brand. And then I think also another expression of the brand impact that we have with the users is the app downloads, where we're over 3 million cumulative app downloads without a lot of marketing really behind that. And then finally, we measure something called Net Promoter Score that many of you may be familiar with, but basically just ask people on a scale 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend the product or the site or whatever. And we're at 70%, which is sort of the only other companies in that same neighborhood are like Amazon or Apple are basically the most admired brands in the world. So, you know, I think users feel like they own it, they feel like they're part of it, and they feel like we're kind of the definitive place for them to sort of find the best deals on the internet because of that power of social and because of that editorial sort of integrity around the community driving what we do.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so exciting about what these guys are doing. It's like, be useful, create something that adds value to consumers and continue the conversation and just establish that trust. So that kind of leads nicely into the next question. Did anyone see Open Water? Well, Open Water it was a Sundance darling. Everyone loved this movie. I think studios were fighting to buy it. So we're so excited when Lionsgate got this one. We saw this movie. And literally, once again, very low budget, but it was 2 unknown actors bobbing in the water for about an hour and a half. I mean, there was no shark in sight. So we kind of, like, after seeing this movie, we're like, we got a big problem on our hands. So after griping for about 10 minutes, the president was like, knock it off, people. We're selling the sizzle, not the steak. Which he was right. We need to put the shark in everything. We need to act like this is Jaws, 5. Like the shark's everywhere. That's the sell. Even though that we knew after opening weekend, people would be like, wah, wah. But we still did it. We went for it. But this is actually the worst piece of marketing advice that we could potentially give you all in this room. Sell the steak. Invest in the long haul. Don't just sell the sizzle, because it just doesn't do it. You guys really need to add that value. So I know we've talked a lot about customer experience, but anything else you guys want to add about what you're doing to ensure that your customers have the best experience possible?
I think the key is the right product and also the good product. I really enjoy like coming to the conferences to meet the partners, not just for talk about advertisement, but it's about why your site is good. Like what is so special about your site and your product. And I want to recommend to my users about the good parts about you, right? So that's actually the core thing. Like if we can keep promoting the best products, they will come back. And it's a win-win situation for both the advertiser and us. And we don't think of advertisers, but they're partners. Like I want to see what is in your product that's fitting our users. Sometimes it's not fitting because of something that you can't change. For example, like Chinese American have smaller sizes in general. So if you're like a larger, if you're selling like larger clothes, it's not going to work and it's not going to change over time. But sometimes it's just because they don't know about your product, and it's actually going to fit. And I just need to understand like why your product is good, and then I can tell my users why it's good. And when they receive the product, they see exactly that's a good product, and they will thank us, and they will buy more from you, and you will have a new user. That's like the positive flow, right? So this is the most important part.
Anything else you guys want to talk about investing for the long haul on the consumer side?
I completely agree with you. I mean, I think everything there's decisions every single day that we're making that could be, done for the short term, that could maximize short-term results and sort of sacrifice the long-term stuff. So we're always trying. I mean, we've created. I'll give you an example. We've created a new product for advertisers called Featured Deals, where sort of the historic thing with Slick Deals is only the best voted deals come to the top, and the front page is basically chronologically sorted, the deals that have gotten the most votes and have passed our editors and get put to the front page. We don't sell that. We never have. We never will. But yet advertisers, when they make the front page, they sell a ton, and they always want to get up there more. So we're under tremendous pressure from our partners, our advertiser partners, to be, how do I get to the front page more? How do I get there more? And so we're constantly having to have that editorial integrity to sort of fend that off. And then at the same time, we've recently created something called Featured Deals, where we are putting some deals up above the front page deals, clearly separated and delineated from the top vote-getting deals. But then at the same time, how do you make sure that there's not ad blindness around that section? So we're taking a similar approach to Google sponsored search, let's say, where the Google sponsored search results, whether you like them or not, they are very relevant, and probably you will click on them now and then because they are pretty much exactly what you wanted. So Google does that by making sure that they're highly relevant to the keyword for which the user searched. In our case, there's just a front page, so there's not an opportunity for that. But we are requiring that any deal that gets featured that an advertiser is paying to place there must have already been a front page deal. So only vote-getting deals that have already made the front page are eligible to be basically re-promoted into that section. So in that way, it's basically still the very best of web deals that our users have, already told us are those great deals. But so I bring it up because it's sort of how are we creating an opportunity for an advertiser, but at the same time making a decision that has the long haul in mind. We're not just slapping up some ads or selling something in that place. We really painstakingly figured out how can we do this in a way that will match what our users are trying to accomplish. So.
Yeah, so I think it's great because consumers will talk back if you do something they don't like, especially when it's website experience. Like I know you guys just went through a new web design and invested a lot in that. But it's always thinking about how you can invest back. And I know, Nancy, you guys do a lot too.
Yeah, there's always that push and pull with the long-term, short-term. So in the long term, my best advice to everybody is to invest in technology. Because in the end, everything keeps changing. And, first, we all had to build our mobile sites. But now we're seeing that actually the mobile sites aren't really what we should have done. We needed to be responsive. And we're now constantly having to shift because in the end, we don't know what device people are going to be looking at our website in the future. And the devices keep changing and the sizes keep shifting. And one of the best things that we can be doing for our user experience is making sure that no matter what they pick us up on, whether it's a little teeny tiny, watch, that they can do the things that they need to do, whether it be scanning the barcodes in the store, being able to purchase off of somebody's registry, or being able to create an account and sync their... can't use the word Macy's because they're not with CJ. Sync their Crate and Barrel registry. Sync their Crate and Barrel registry to their My Registry account. So I think for at least for management, it's really important that we don't forget that although there's all these other things that we need to deal with marketing, we still have to constantly be thinking about the device and how does your business work on each one of these devices, and to be, you know, very focused on where are we going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. It's so hard to picture because the technology is moving so quickly, but you have to keep moving with it. And that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges is just constantly trying to figure out where are my customers going to be using me tomorrow.
Yeah, and that leads into our next question and the point that we really want to drive home. This next movie marketing tip, it's you have to develop a marketing plan. And I know we talked to Josh about this, and they're doing some cool things. Like, it's not, think about it, you know, set up a plan for the year, and we'll talk about more specifics. And the experience that I had on Monsters Ball, did anyone see that movie? All right, so we got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Halle Berry killed it. Like, we saw this thing, and we were like, wow, she is amazing. We think we can win some awards with this one. So we knew it was a total small independent film, but we went for it. So our whole marketing plan for this movie was how many awards can we win? And sure enough, she won the Oscar for Best Actress that year. So it worked out really well, but we spent most of our time and effort doing an awards campaign rather than a movie marketing campaign. And because the movie was getting so much press and she started to win smaller awards than larger awards, it ended up making more money. But I'd love to talk to you guys about, like, what do you physically do when you come up with a marketing plan, and even maybe talk a little bit about budgets, like how much do you put into the marketing side, or have you put in, or just to give these guys some tips and advice. Do you want to take it? Josh, I know you've like kind of dived more closely into doing plans.
I would say that in a prior company that I ran, People Media, which is an online dating company, we were spending $50+ million a year in marketing online and offline, and we certainly built our way brick by brick into that budget and holding it all very accountable. This business isn't like that. The online dating businesses always need to acquire new people. I mean, the whole product is who's on it, basically, and it's driven by tons and tons of marketing. And recently also you're seeing like, FanDuel and DraftKings go crazy, right? And they have...
It's awesome. I'm like, another one? Because I'm a huge football fan, so they're killing me.
Yeah, I mean, they have really high, they and online dating have really, really, really high LTVs, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to acquire a customer that's probably worth, $150, $200, $300 on average over the life of that customer. So the allowables that they have are huge, and so that's why you're seeing them market, so much. It's not, they're not spraying and praying. They're like able to measure all that stuff. So
spraying and praying. That's great.
I mean, but I think in these businesses, at least in my experience, the LTVs are so much smaller. You really need to be more kind of nimble and tactical around your advertising, and so. Some of the things that we're doing are, like we've been engaging with a Yelp community, for instance, because we know that, a portion of our 10 million users are the ones creating the content. Of course, not everyone is, it's a minority, but the people who are posting, voting, those people have similar characteristics to Yelpers in that they're sort of, providing that sort of social context. So we're seeing if we can't sort of find synergies between kind of growing our audience and community through that type of thing.
And do you set up, like at the beginning of the year, like, okay, here's what we're going to do? Or is it kind of, it sounds like you guys constantly check in and the plan evolves.
We try to always basically be replanning all the time. So, of course, there's a little more kind of thought and deep effort that goes into it kind of in an annual cycle. But then as we go, we're constantly sort of reforecasting and making adjustments. But the other big channels that we look at too, of course, are Google, and there's huge arbiters of traffic on the internet, right? There's Facebook, there's Google, there's Amazon, but really Facebook and Google are the two huge platforms. So you can get at Google through SEO and SEM, and you can get at Facebook kind of in both mobile and desktop context, now on Instagram as well. So we're playing in all those spaces as well.
Okay. So I have been doing marketing myself to promote our big events recently.
So CMO up here.
By the way, I used to be an engineer, so I'm new to this field. But I realized how fast this whole space is evolving. It's actually better that I'm new because people are just like having so much previous experiences that are dragging them along. And they can't forget what they have learned in the past. But technology changes every year, every month. And people switch from one social network to the other, to the next and stuff. So the most important thing is you know who you're talking to when you're doing marketing. So for example, for advertisers, when you use affiliate programs, the biggest thing is we have all this traffic from different sites, and now you have a free entrance, almost free. It's much lower cost than the traditional ways. This is the best way to promote yourself. But if you're creating the same creative, like a site-wide 20% off, and it doesn't attract people as much. And then you need to realize for Slick Deals, it's totally huge group of people who are completely different from Deal Moon. You can't have a one-size-fits-all. You need to know your partners. You need to know you're talking to Slick Deals users and create something specifically for them. And then you need to create something for Deal Moon, which is completely opposite sometimes. Deal Moon would be maybe much, much more expensive product you think never would work because it's a deal site. And that's a lot of time people look at deal site. They say, oh, maybe you can try this $20 stuff. But no, you need to know your demographics. Our users, they want more luxury stuff. So you need to understand, because we are the salespersons for your site, and you need to talk to us.
Yes.
A lot of times we know better about what to promote on your site than yourself. That's not right. So I have a lot of people come to ask for price, for this and that, but very, very few people come to us saying, what products do you want for your customers? That's the number one question you need to ask, because it's a different audience than your average audience, and this is the new audience that you want. This is the best way to grow the new customers, right? So this is the most important thing. It's who you're talking to and what will interest them. So
and I know that leads into our last question. So I want to make sure we have some time for Q&A, because I know this last one's a good one, and I think it's going to help you guys. And I know Nancy's done some cool stuff with it. It's all about trying new things and trying to create a buzz. With this movie Godsend, it's a horrible movie. Who saw this one? Anybody? Yeah, good. It's not that great. But it was. I got to work with Mark Cuban. This was his first movie with some of his friends. So really interesting guy to work with and market a movie. But we did a bunch of stunt marketing. So, and this movie's about a couple that loses their child, and they go to this doctor that says that he can clone the child back. So they clone the child, comes back, and of course he's not normal, and starts doing bad things. So we actually created a fake website about the Godsend Institute where people could, it's horrible. The movie marketing industry, don't do any of this. Where it looked like an actual medical institute, where if you lost your child, you could talk to this doctor and have them come back. I know, we're horrible people. But what ended up happening is the movie got a ton of press, and it actually was on ABC World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Has movie marketing gone too far? Mark Cuban said, because your little stunt, we were in papers, we were on radio shows, we were all over. It was like being hit by lightning. But we probably produced an extra $1 million opening weekend because people wanted to see that controversial film. So my question to you guys, and I know being on the business side, you can't go too crazy with that, but have you done any interesting marketing or event type things to generate awareness and buzz? You guys have done some cool events at colleges and...
Yeah, we have heard from our users that many of them first started using Slick Deals when they were in college. So kind of maybe that tight budget in college and kind of wanting to fully, outfit your dorm room or whatever it is, or apartment or whatnot. So we've been trying to engage with the colleges. It's, it's not something we're doing nationwide, but I think you can get some, influencers there too, because they're in kind of tighter knit communities. So I think the possibilities for kind of, reaching one person or connecting with one person and having them spread that around is better in those environments. So mostly just around California and around LA area where we're based, we've been doing some things with the colleges.
And I love it when the online world goes offline. I just think it's really cool. And Nancy, I know you guys have tried
We've tried so many different things, but I think one of the nice, we always we all want to be able to help people. So I think one of the fun marketing events that we did is that we, during the holiday season, we did outreach to all of these areas where people were pregnant but really couldn't afford to get the kind of products that they needed. And we had them create registries on our site, and then we went to the local media. We had the local media talk about these registries, and then whatever town started to get the most support on this local customer, we basically went in and we bought the whole registry for them. So I think that it's always important to have some kind of community service element to some of the marketing that you do. People really respond to that well. And they're happy when companies are doing things to help people out.
Yep.
So although that was a little scary, what you said, what you guys did for the movie, I think that things like that could have been flipped around, and you could have done something, as well, really nice to.
But I think it's like it's listening, it's trying new things. Like, you guys don't be afraid.
So important
to do it.
to try new things.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not going to work. Like, that gets to the last tip, which is extending your reach. And I think this is something you guys have all mentioned. And I just want to drive home. This is a movie, Punisher. When we released this movie, they also released the game at the same time. So we needed to partner with EA to launch the game and the movie at the same time. It's all about partnership marketing. Like, I know, Nancy, you guys have killed it with some of the partners that you've worked with.
Yeah, that's really where we decided to focus our energy. So I love that expression you use, this spray and pray. We started out spraying and praying, and it was disastrous for us. We spent millions of dollars in advertising, and it brought us bupkis. And we literally had to rethink how we were going to build this brand. And we were so fortunate to have a lot of partners who said, look, we think that if we had a registry on our site that was connected to your system, we would just kill it with the registry sales. So we built a widget, and the widget now is on about 350 of our partner sites, and it basically ties everybody into one universal gift registry network. And it's been so effective with our partners. So we give everybody a way to connect into our system. If you're a really big retailer that already has a registry, like a Crate & Barrel or Williams-Sonoma, then great. We're happy that you've been around before we were. So we ping those registries and we upload them into our system. If you are a one-item store like a strollers.com or somebody who's selling something that's very registry-centric, tie into our system, because this way your item can be added together with everybody else's item. So this building with our partners has been, without a question, the core of our growth and probably the most important strategy, to the point that we actually went and built a technology for our partners who had retail stores, and now we're installing, kiosks into retail stores so that our partners can have the registry in the stores and not only on their websites. So it's kind of figuring out what your partners need and figuring out how to embrace them and get them to be able to get the most sales out of your system as possible.
Yeah. I think it's key, because it's not going to cost you millions of dollars, but you're just talking to people and being creative and, once again, trying new things. So I don't know if, Jennifer, you've got anything to add?
Yes, kind of combining the previous question on this one. So it's about new ideas and how to grow the new audience as well. So we actually, how many people have heard of Singles Day in the room? Oh, that's even fewer than I thought.
Well, yeah.
That's good because it's new, right? So in China, Alibaba actually created the Singles Day holiday a few years ago. It started with anti-Valentine thing by college students, but they started using this concept to create something like Black Friday in China. So they have huge discounts for Singles Day, and then everybody started to buying stuff on that day and became one of the biggest shopping day in the world. So that one company created the whole thing. So we actually we saw that idea, we actually brought it to the US, and 3 years ago we started Singles Day event, working with some of the partners to try. And over the years, we have improved. In this year is going to be the biggest event ever. So we're also creating a new event I feel like we're creating a Black Friday by ourselves.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and also by using this, it's the first time we can catch attention from new users. Because Dealmoon has been around for many years. We have the best deals for female in the whole US, but it's only known by Chinese Americans. but it's also useful for average American, right? So by using this new holiday, we also kind of open the door to catch some other people's attention.
That's great.
And also at the same time, our advertisers, they can have another holiday to do a good discount without hurting their brand. So it's like creating something new. I know like it takes maybe 3 or 4 years for a new holiday to start, but this is definitely, we are seeing the huge increases, and it's just definitely something new that I wanted to share.
That's great. I just want to thank you all so much. That was like a fun
you.
discussion. So, but try new things, you guys. Get out there, and we're all marketers personally and professionally, so have fun with it. Thanks.